Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la. Hail the new ye lads and lasses, fa la 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 la. Sing we joyous all together, fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la.
Happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and even though I know I'm late, Happy Hanukkah. Whatever holiday you celebrate, I hope it's really a great one this year. And if holidays aren't your thing, then have a great Tuesday or whatever day of the week it is you're listening to this. Welcome to the first ever holiday episode of Table to Stage. I am your rented Santa Claus for the day, Jordan Werma, and today we'll be talking caroling with Lori and Mike Cartwright and Kent Jackson of the Connecticut Yuletide Carolers. The version of Deck the Halls that we just listened to is from their 2015 CD, which we'll actually be able to hear a little bit more of throughout today's episode. So before we get started, a small bit of news. This will be the final episode of Table to Stage in 2018. I won't be releasing any new stuff on Christmas or on New Year's Day, but regular releases will start hitting again on January 8th. So in the meantime, I will upload a couple of the upcoming episodes to the Patreon page. So if you're a table leg or a stagehand Patreon, you'll get early access to a couple of what I think are pretty great episodes. So visit patreon.com/tabletostage to see what's the what over there. If you're feeling particularly generous this holiday season, why not head over to iTunes? You can leave a rating or review of the pod. 5-star reviews really help others find the show more easily. And if I read your review on the show, I'll send you a small token of my appreciation. If you have any questions or comments about the show, go ahead and email tabletostage@gmail.com. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the pod on whatever service you use to listen to your podcast. If you subscribe, that means you'll always have the most recent episodes available for you on Tuesday morning when they come out. So before we get to talking about caroling, let's take another listen to some more from the Connecticut Yuletide Carolers.
Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is their song, with joyful ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound, o'er hill and dale, telling their tale. Gaily they ring, while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding dong, merry, merry Christmas. Ding, merry, merry, merry Christmas. Ding dong, and all without end, that joyful tone to every home. Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is their song, with joyful ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound, o'er hill and dale, telling their tale. Gaily they ring, while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding, merry, merry, merry Christmas. Ding, merry, merry, merry Christmas. On they send, on without end, their joyful tone to every home.
On they send, on without end, their joyful tone to every home.
Ding dong, ding dong.
Gotta love that gorgeous a cappella sound. So now let's get to Lori, Mike, and Kent from Connecticut Yuletide Carolers.
Actually, Mike and I moved to Connecticut almost 20 years ago from Delaware.
Delaware. I've never gotten that answer before.
Well, Mike's a Delaware native. I grew up in New Jersey and then went to the University of Delaware and just stayed after I was done.
Okay.
And then I got a job in Connecticut, like I said, about 20 years ago, and we made the big move.
Yeah. From the mid-Atlantic up to Yankeedom, huh?
Exactly.
That's it. That's exactly right.
I know 20 years, I don't know if we can officially claim we're nutmeggers.
I think 20 years is probably pretty safe. Ken, what about you?
I grew up down in Norwalk in Fairfield County.
Okay, all right.
So I kind of know the area a
Graduated
little
from
bit.
high school in
Graduated from Norwalk High School, class of '84.
I was McMahon.
Uh-oh. Rivals?
Are we done?
Yeah, we're all, you can leave. I know it's your building, but you can leave. And how did you all get involved as singers? Because like it happens for everybody differently. If you get involved,
Yeah.
some people very young, maybe church choir or something like that, especially for young kids. But what about for all of you?
Yeah, I think mine started when I was a kid. Every holiday, I went to Catholic school up until 6th grade, and every holiday we were put in the auditorium for the parents to come and hear Irish tunes and Christmas tunes and
Okay.
Thanksgiving tunes.
Irish like drinking songs,
Yes.
I guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
whiskey in the jar, stuff
it's
like that.
bizarre. So not quite like that. Close though, It's that's what you got there. But that's how it started. But I didn't really pay attention to that. I didn't really start performing and singing until I was in high school, and
Yeah.
not until 10th grade. So
Oh,
then
okay.
it started.
So even as a sophomore.
Yeah. I wasn't allowed to be in the musical in 9th grade because of confirmation. So that won out first. And then the next year I was able to be in the musical. And then
Okay.
from that point, I just started doing musicals and singing. And, then started in the community theater and all of that.
Was it just a waiting game for you to get to 10th grade so you could participate? Or
No,
was it something that sparked the interest in you?
I think it was always in there because I listened to my mom and dad had records, and I listened to them and
Yeah.
different musicals, and my mom liked country at the time, so I was listening to that old time country from the 50s
Okay.
and Elvis and stuff like that. So I liked that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not really into that now though.
Well, it kind of changes as
Yeah,
you
yeah, it's-
grow older and
yeah.
go along all the different stuff that you come in contact with.
Right.
It's funny because I listened to, I guess most people would call it heavy metal, hard rock when I was younger, and my tastes have gotten softer and quieter
As you get
as
a
I've
little
gotten
older.
older.
Right.
Anybody else? How did you get started?
I grew up in the church, so
Yeah.
church choirs, children's choirs, singing in school. Everybody was in the chorus.
Yeah.
So it kind of started there. But I didn't act in high school on my own accord.
Okay.
Had
You get roped into it?
Yeah, the choir director came to me in my junior year. We were doing West Side Story at Norwalk High School.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I want you to audition. I was like, why?
Shark or jet?
I was a shark. But
Well, I think the key here is you're a male that sings.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
In high school.
But production week, the guy playing Glad Hand fell off the set.
Oh,
no.
So less than a week before we went into the shows, I took over the part of Glad Hand as well. So I had to transform from a
before.
shark to
Oh,
Glad Hand, and
I know you can't see this, but I'm doing, he, quote, fell
Oh,
off
yeah.
the set.
Still under investigation,
Yeah, right.
probably. That's why they haven't done that show since.
Yeah.
Lori, what about you?
Pretty similar. Very into choir in high school, doing the musicals, and then community theater after, once I was out of college, doing a lot of community theater. And just, you try to get away from it, but it just keeps pulling you back.
Yeah, I've experienced that myself. Big gap in performing, and then once I got roped back into it, you can't get me to stop now.
Yeah.
So what is it specifically about singing that keeps you all doing it? Because community theater is more than just singing. There are lots of other different ways to perform and sort of be a creative, artistic person. So what is it about singing specifically that keeps drawing you into it? What is the enjoyable thing about that for everybody?
Oh, I like both parts. I like the part that actually performing and singing. It feels good to be able to use your voice to do that, to to give, as we talk about here at this church, about the gift, and it's really nice to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I also like listening to stuff, and I get that too when I go and see a show, and the music just adds something to it. I mean, you can have a play or a reading or something like that, but the music is just another step up, another emotional step there. That I think that's one of the reasons I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, any music that you play or sing can really hit you in different ways. It can make you laugh, it can make you cry, and it's just that little bit, and specifically what we do with a cappella singing, it's just the voice. So it's really amazing what those voices can do for people out there.
Yeah, I was talking with Lori before we started. Music has such an emotional impact on people,
Certainly.
regardless of background or where they're from, or even what kind of music it is. Everybody's got a reaction to it.
Right.
Whether it's they hate it,
It could
or
be.
they love it, or it inspires them to do something. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
everybody's got something. Lori, what about you? Is it similar for you?
Similar, and I think a lot of times music, you can get messages out through music in a way that I think if you just talked about a topic, people might be a little less receptive to it, but it seems like music is just a way of reaching to people, really sort of getting people to think.
Yeah, okay. Ken, what about you? You have any sort of draw to singing?
Yeah, and more singing than acting, actually.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I performed in small group, the quartets or what we do. I'm used to performing in choruses and choirs and just enjoy the fellowship, the relationships that develop that way. They develop here, too, in a lot closer ways because there's only one person on each part.
Yeah.
So it's different. But
To be seen,
Love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send
Yeah, I mean, you go from a big choir or something like 30 or 40 people down to 4 or 5 people. It's
Right.
It's singing. You're using the same muscles, but it's a very different experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, since this is the Christmas episode, and we're here to talk about caroling largely, how did you all get involved in caroling? Like, what was your first experience with that? Was it like, and I mentioned this also before we started, it was a family thing for me. My grandmother would play had the baby grand in the living room. We would all gather around and sing Christmas songs and everything together. And it's something that my wife's family did too. My mother-in-law plays the piano and everybody plays. Was that something you all experienced too, or was there a different way that you got involved with the caroling traditions?
Yep, mine was a little different. My family, although musical, my brother and sister were musical. My parents were not.
Okay.
So we didn't have a piano. We didn't sing around, like that at all. Through theater, basically, I met some people that were doing caroling. And this was in Pennsylvania and Delaware, where I'm originally from. And this woman ran a group, and she said, I want to hire these people to sing carols in groups of 4 as we do in the quartets, and we're going to do these different places. We're going to give you a costume. We're going to pay you money, and you can read the music. Would you like to do that? And I said, sure.
Yeah.
It's not very often that an artist actually gets paid for work.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I know. So I said yes. So
Yeah.
I did that for years, and it was a great thing to do. It's just, as Kent was saying, that the 4 of you have to rely on each other, and so it's a nice cohesive little group. And the group's always changed with us.
Yeah.
And we performed at really nice places like Longwood Gardens, which is this big arboretum that has giant 20-foot trees that spin that we stand in front of and
Wow.
sing.
Okay.
And that was really cool.
Yeah.
And they're paying me money. It's like, that was really, and then like we just talked about a minute or two ago about the actual music and how I feel about that. And
Yeah.
people looking at you and just with these big smiles and just enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. And that's how I started with that there, and then we brought it up here eventually. So
Okay. Lori, was yours similar to that?
Well, again, through choral
Yeah.
activity, a lot of Christmas music through church choir. I didn't actually do the caroling until we started the group in Connecticut.
Oh, okay. All right. 20 years ago?
The group started 13
13.
years ago.
Okay.
13,
Yeah.
close.
That's right. All right.
Mine was back in youth group.
Okay.
Again, in church. And the youth group would get together, and we'd have a list of addresses of where all the shut-ins, the church members
really?
who couldn't get out.
Okay.
And so we would pile in cars, and we would drive to someone's house, and we would go sing 4 or 5 carols, and then we'd drive 10 or 15 minutes across town and go sing to someone else and do 4 or 5 carols, and they'd feed us cookies and something.
Oh, wow.
And so we would spend all night,
Yeah.
hit 8, 10 dozen homes and just sing for the folks who couldn't get out to church.
Yeah.
And just bring the Christmas spirit into their homes.
So you had an itinerary.
We did.
Yeah. Okay. I remember doing something similar to that. We would walk around the neighborhood,
Right,
and,
right.
and sing. Have the little books and everything. And I think I'm remembering this correctly. The firehouse this was in Broadbrook, where I grew up. At the end of the kind of walking around the neighborhood, everybody would gather at the firehouse. Like the whole town would sing for a little while, and that would be pretty much the end of that. But yeah, I have really fond memories of kind of singing in the neighborhood and caroling and hot chocolate. And
Yeah, that's it. When hot chocolate and cookies or something like that as a
exactly.
reward.
Yeah. I remember people coming to the door. They hear the carolers coming up the street, and you can see them poking out the door. Like, when are they coming? Is there something about the Christmas music that is particularly enjoyable as a singer for any of you? Even if a song is coming up and I've not heard it before, there's a sound like I don't know what it is, but there's something about a Christmas song, Christmas carol, that kind of stands out from other music. And I'm wondering if whatever that quality is something that you've noticed or that maybe draws you to actually singing that sort of song.
You know what I notice? A lot of times people are trying to be very PC, and people don't always feel very comfortable talking about their spirituality and their beliefs. And Christmas is kind of like a free pass. I can sing about the birth of Christ and my Savior, and I don't have to feel apologetic or embarrassed about it.
Okay.
It's funny because, a lot of people talk about, well, you shouldn't, we don't say Merry Christmas because we don't want to exclude anybody. After a couple of years of the caroling, I was like, I'm saying it. I am saying Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying Happy Holidays to people. And people really see, they're like, they're relieved. You gave me permission. I can say Merry Christmas back to you.
Huh. Okay. It's interesting. Anybody else?
I think especially at like nursing homes or care facilities,
Oh, sure, yeah.
especially the traditional carols, folks who have lost, a lot of mental capacity and physical capacity, you start singing some of those old favorites.
Yeah.
And they're singing along. They don't even need the song sheets.
Yeah.
They just know them, and music gets into the mind, into the soul in a way that nothing else does.
Yeah.
And to see the joy on their faces when they can sing along, and they can't remember what they had for their last meal. They can't remember, but you bring out those lyrics, and the melody, brings it out, and it's just like they come alive.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful
that's gotta be
to be a
neat.
part of that.
Yeah.
And that's, some of the gigs we do with the carolers are in those kind of homes where,
Right.
you walk into a room and you're like, this is going to be like nothing.
Yeah.
And you start singing just the traditional carols, and people's eyes light up, and they become involved.
It just brings a new energy to the room.
Engaged
Yeah.
into what's going on.
Yeah, meanwhile, tears are streaming down our
Yes, they
faces,
are.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those traditional carols we learned, as we all know from church or, just doing them for years, that's why they're kind of in there. But there's also the new ones, as you had said earlier, that there's the more contemporary things. There's a lot of different music out there.
So how do you, as the Connecticut Yuletide Carolers, how do you come up with your song list? Because I had mentioned this before we started recording, but you have a pretty extensive song list. That your repertoire is
we have 49.
not short, and it's heavily skewed toward more traditional carols, but you've got a pretty good sprinkling of more modern, popular music in there.
Right.
How do you go about choosing the songs that you're going to include?
Well, the list changed over the years. I used to be sort of the hardcore. We are in Victorian costumes. We do not sing contemporary music. But, I had to pay more attention to our audience and what they were reacting to.
Right.
And we're in a lot of places where we're singing to kids. And sad to say, a lot of the traditional carols just don't aren't familiar
Or
for
even
them.
the older traditional, maybe.
The older,
or
yeah, the hymn style traditional carols. And, sometimes we're singing in places where it's a corporate party and not everybody celebrates Christmas. So, some of our tunes are more winter songs than maybe Christmas songs.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was sort of, we had to learn that lesson over time.
Yeah.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, we also kind of looked at what other groups were doing as far as, we kind of did some research and see what was going on with them and see what they're singing, and we, pretty much everybody's doing about the same repertoire.
Yeah.
With half good, half bad,
Yeah, you are never going to see Grandma Got Run Over on my song list. I have to confess that
Now,
right now.
I saw the hippopotamus song
Yes.
on the list. Why hippopotami, but no reindeer?
That was probably mine. Mike really liked that song.
Dominic can't be too far away.
Well, we've had requests for Dominic. We have all kinds of strange requests, but I just, for some reason, I've always liked hippopotamus, and it was very funny when I brought it to the group. I put all the music into where we put it into sheet music and practice tapes and all. So I brought it to the group, and they're all like, hippopotamus, what is this?
And it's a tricky arrangement, too.
It's a little tricky
not
arrangement,
easy.
but everybody gets a solo in it, and
Okay.
it's fun. And now everyone loves that. We sang it like 3 times last night in Deep
Oh,
River
wow.
because people loved it.
Yeah, it gets a big reaction.
Yeah. And then finally the carolers were like, "That's a good one." That's not always the reaction when I bring in a song.
That's
so.
funny because that song's been around for a while now.
Yeah.
And I don't think I had heard it ever until maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think somebody used it in a commercial, and that
Oh,
kind
is
of
that
gave
what
it
it
a new.
was?
Yeah,
I
I forget what
so.
it was for.
Plus,
but-
I think it's a song they use for toddlers and kids just to sing another silly little
Sure.
song that they're always like hippopotamus song.
Yeah, yeah,
And they don't always remember all the other ones, but they'll remember that one because
Okay.
it's silly.
No, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, but Rudolph is on the list.
Oh yes, Rudolph
Yeah.
and Frosty.
So when you're going through that kind of thing, I mean, are you looking at specific versions? Because something like Rudolph or Frosty, I mean, you've got Dean Martin and Sammy Davis doing that stuff. You've got like Mariah Carey or somebody else doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
So how do you go about finding the arrangements? Do you create them yourself? Do you collaborate on them? I mean, because you're doing a cappella,
Right.
which, I mean, pop stuff's not done in 4-part harmony.
You're right. That's right. That's right. Well, we go and we find arrangements that we have to purchase and use
Okay.
those right now. We would love to have somebody come and arrange, and we've been reaching out and trying to get some of our own.
Yeah.
Some of the caroling groups do have that they have either an arranger in the group or that they've used somebody.
Yeah.
And you just, certainly you pay somebody and you get what you can do, what style you want it in.
Yeah.
And we found some really good arrangements. I mean, and some of the ones that are, not copyrighted as far as the old ones we've just taken from wherever. Some of them are from
Yeah.
when I originally did this even further than 13 years ago in Delaware. So
Okay.
Deb gave me the arrangements, the woman that ran the group, and she said, "Oh, just take these
Yeah,
and just go." And
I mean, the traditional stuff is all public domain.
right,
Right,
yeah, you
right.
can just take that right off the computer.
Out of the hymnal, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it can be hit or miss. I think we went through 3 versions of "We Wish You a Merry Christmas" before we hit one that worked.
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish.
Because we discovered that people wanted to sing along with it, and we were singing a tricky version where, you wouldn't sing the entire verse or you'd repeat things, and people couldn't sing along. So we looked for a version that was a little more straightforward.
Some piggy pudding, now bring us some piggy pudding, now bring us some piggy pudding, and bring some out here.
Good tidings we bring to you.
So that people could participate.
The sing-along stuff has to be in 4/4 time, probably, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no tricky verses. I mean, with some of that we have different languages in there, and we try not to do that if it's sing along.
Yeah. Now, do you do? I have looked at the songs, but I don't remember offhand now. Do you do any foreign language stuff? Anything in some of the old traditional, like Latin or Spanish or anything like that?
Yeah, not totally. We have Latin in what is it? "O Come All Ye Faithful."
"O Come All Ye Faithful."
Oh,
We
okay.
do a verse in German of "O Christmas Tree."
Oh,
in the
yeah.
middle verse we
Yeah,
do
O
is "O
Tannenbaum."
Tannenbaum."
Yeah,
Yeah.
O Tannenbaum, and we added this year Spanish to Silent Night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
All right.
that's a struggle for some of our singers, but we're working on that.
Well, I mean, that's got to be be great for the different audiences
Right.
to
Yeah.
be able to hear some of their own, family traditions.
Yeah.
come through
I mean,
what
and
they're
that's how we kind of see it sometimes when we're out there and people say, "Oh, this is what happened in our gig that we just did." When we had a group go down to the Bronx it was a Hispanic senior center or community center, and we didn't do any Spanish at that point, and they sang it in Spanish, and we're like, why can't we
Yeah,
add
yeah.
something like that in? It's just. It makes them feel comfortable. It's their language.
Sure.
They can laugh at us if we're not doing it really well, but probably not going
But
to because you just
even
attempted.
that's enjoyable, I
Yes,
would think,
right.
See
Right.
somebody trying.
Right. But no, that's we kind of learn as we go too, as different things change and
Yeah.
things we want to add. So
Yeah. How do you make the decision to drop something from the repertoire
Uh,
or
it's-
to add something
It's a
new?
tough choice, because at 49, the rule now is sort of to add something else has to go away.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
So it's hard. It's a hard choice.
Which one are you going to cut so that you can get Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer?
I don't know. We'll ask the singers; they'll tell me. Right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the singers will tell us, people just don't react to this
Yeah.
particular
Yeah.
song. It's just not well known enough, and it usually
Right.
takes a couple of years while we debate it, but
Yeah,
You've done surveys of the carolers too.
we have.
Which ones we connect with, which ones we prefer to skip all the time.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
yeah.
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 But even though the book is set up from, like, if you can start at the beginning and go right through the end, we have an opening carol, and at the end it's We Wish You, and there's the other ones in the mix there. So somebody can start and just keep going through it or pick and choose.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because we have so many different gigs. We have an hour-long kind of concert, so you have to kind of make interesting choices, or you just muzak in the background at a party and just keep singing, just plug along each one.
Right.
No
right.
one's really paying attention, or maybe one person there is, so.
Yeah. Well, there's always one person like me at a party just sitting quietly in the corner listening to the music.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to sit there and listen
Yeah.
too.
And then we have some of the narratives too, which are nice for the concerts. Some little paragraph on the history of the piece or how it was created.
interesting.
So
Okay.
if we're doing a concert or a library, we can read those narratives.
Yeah.
And we have the night before Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, you
So we
actually
can-
do
We
the,
do a
the whole
reading.
poem.
If we
Yeah.
have an audience that's actually listening, it's divided up into the four parts, so we each take turns reading different parts. And
Oh, okay.
the audience, an audience that's listening really gets into that and,
Yeah.
Right.
and appreciates
I,
it.
I would guess, especially if there's kids in
Yeah.
the audience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that actually came out of necessity because our first year we had a gig that we went to, and we didn't realize how long the gig was or what it was. Most of them were just stand outside and sing.
Sure.
This one was you're going to be in front of people for an hour. And we only had about 16 songs, which is not an hour.
Oh, yeah. Most were, what, 2.5 minutes
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
most? Yeah.
So we said, okay, talk about who you are, what you like, just like we're padding it in. So the next year we came up with adding these things, but it also is a good thing because it gives the voice a rest.
Sure.
The tenor will say, a little bit about what sleigh ride is or whatever, and it's a minute or two, but it gives the other voices a chance to
Yeah.
kind of rest. You're not just song, 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 song.
Yeah, Sleigh Ride is interesting because I don't know if Johnny Mathis was the first one to do that song, but the speed that he does that song.
Yeah, we don't quite do it that fast.
No.
Our poor sopranos would kill us.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's amazing. Like some of the songs that you get so used to hearing in one way or another, and then
Yeah.
you hear it in a different version, and it takes you a minute to recognize, oh, I know that song.
Yeah.
It's just such a different version. The arrangement's so different.
Right.
Sort of following up on how Mike said sometimes it's audience reaction. I guess it was about 10 years ago, we were singing at some big event, and somebody just shouts out of the crowd, I bet you don't do any Hanukkah songs. And at the time, we didn't.
Yeah.
But we've added a couple of Hanukkah songs just so.
Yeah, I saw
You know.
that. I saw you have
Yeah.
the dreidel song and
Dreidel.
Hanukkah, oh Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's the reception to that like at your shows?
Usually people are like, hey, they're excited, yay. We try to be sensitive to not doing it. Every year I have to look and make sure we all know when Hanukkah falls. I think we're on the last night.
Last night
Is
tonight.
today the
Yeah,
last
I
night
think
of
today is the
Hanukkah?
last.
So we sang them this afternoon at one of our gigs. And I think it's good because a lot of places, such as the senior centers that we're visiting, they kind of put them all in the room. They don't really have a choice about attending
Yeah,
the
yeah.
activity. And, that way we feel like we're giving them something that maybe has some memories for them as well.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's great. Now, your sing-along selections, you've got some very specific songs that I guess you hand a sing-along sheet out to people. How do you figure out which of the songs are going to be the sing-alongs? Because it's not just time signature and standard rhythm, is it? It's got to be something else.
It's the more familiar ones, the ones that people are already going to know the tune. Again, tied to what people are familiar with and what's in their memory. And even it's more than a half hour's worth of music, because this afternoon we sang somewhere and I said strictly sing-along songs, and I had to skip a couple because we were getting a little close on time.
Yeah.
And they're the ones we sing straight.
Yeah, they're
They're
not strange
not
arrangements.
arrangements.
Yeah.
Right.
They're the ones that we sing the way everybody learns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse.
And you're not doing major harmonies or anything like that.
Exactly.
Right? Everybody's
Right.
singing the melody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you go to different parts of the state or different states and
Different
you said you've been to
states, yeah.
Massachusetts, been to New York, like, do you change up the songs based on where you're going, or is it pretty standard as far as whatever group is going to be going is going to do this set no matter where they go?
Yeah, well, they have the book. They have the 49 songs plus the night before Christmas, and then the alto is basically the manager of the group, so kind of has to get the lay of the land and ask what they
Always
want.
get the melody.
So that's how. It's not like we send them out and say, "Oh, you have to do these songs."
Yeah.
Sometimes the certain gigs will request ones, that they want these certain ones.
Sure.
And that's fine. We can see if
Yep.
we can accommodate that.
That's better than the ones where they call me the night before and say, "Could you not say Christ or Jesus at all?" And I'm like, "Oh, we were not the group you meant to hire."
Right.
Because if we did that once, we were like, "All right, let's go through and take out everything that's too religious." And I think we had a nice tight 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't have much in there. Yeah.
Wow.
it's-
Yeah, it's Christmas songs.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
We're not preaching, but
Right.
it is
Right.
Christmas.
Right. It's Christmas.
Right.
songs.
Right.
Right. Right.
So, all right. Now, as far as how this group got together, it's been 13 years of Connecticut Yuletide Carolers. And I know, Lori and Mike, you sort of started this thing, right? And Ken, when did you come on? Was it toward the beginning, or is
This
it
is
more
my
recent?
7th season.
Okay, so you're halfway.
been here a
I
while.
moved to Brantford, and that season they happened to be looking for a couple of basses.
Okay.
I missed the cut.
Did you miss the cut?
Really?
I'm remembering this. I'm remembering this.
Yeah.
now.
I don't remember
I'm
send
embarrassed.
them for lessons.
There are no hard feelings.
Yeah, apparently not.
I missed the cut. I got the
Let me
call from
take
Lori
a quick
saying,
picture real quick here so you can see the lie on the face there.
Yeah, right.
we're really glad you auditioned, but we picked somebody else. I said, all right. I
Yeah.
told my wife, I said, all right, I'm not going to be busy in December. And at least not more busy than usual.
Yeah,
And,
right.
Right.
and then, I don't know, it was
I
later that
I believe
week,
somebody
I think. It
somebody
was-
dropped out, I guess.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Didn't
Oh, that same year?
that same
Okay.
year.
It was
yeah.
like a week later, you
Yeah.
called me and said, actually, we have an opening.
Yeah, it's a very short bench this year.
Yeah, right.
Actually, I had to do the sorry but call, but Mike did the hey, guess what call. And I remember Ken said later on, why didn't you get to do the fun call
So
as well as
you have to do all the dirty work then, right?
I guess so. I don't know. I didn't realize that was what it was.
Well, it's been done. It's precedent now.
Yeah.
So if it happens again, you know.
Right, now
you
we
how
know.
it's going to go.
I get to do the happy call.
Yeah, right. Right. Well,
But what was the idea? Was it from your time doing?
Yeah,
caroling
I
and you just-
mean, we moved up here, and I said, I really liked, and like I said, we give you a scarf and you book a music, and you read it, and you
Yeah.
sing with 3 other people, and you get money, and it's like, that's so much fun. And it's just, again, back to that same idea you were talking about. It's just a really nice energy. It's
Yeah.
that good time of year, and it's fun because you're watching the audience watch you and enjoying it.
Yeah.
So we kept saying year after year, we're going to start, we're going to start, we're going to
because
start.
there really was no existing group like it in the state.
There's not
so-
really anything like that, and I don't even think right now there's things close by in other states, but not
Right.
in this state.
I know of other caroling groups in Connecticut.
In
but
Connecticut?
Not that have the scope.
No,
That
there
I've
might
seen.
there's a
Yeah.
couple
Yeah.
that do other things like madrigals and things
Right.
like that
and
we
the high
haven't done.
schools, a lot of the high schools have very active
along the shoreline.
magical
There's
and
definitely.
caroling
Yeah.
groups.
So then we went on a Thanksgiving weekend to the Breakers up in Rhode Island. Gorgeous mansion. It's decked out in thousands
I've
of
been there-
dollars
I've
of
been there once. It's
decoration.
impressive, yeah.
And these people walk out on the gorgeous stairs. They have one scarf, no music, and they sing in unison. Not even that good. I'm sorry, the Breakers, but that year
calling
now.
them out. Wow.
I know. I think they've gotten better people now. They have some people in Rhode Island that are really good singers over there.
Throwing shade over
Yeah.
there at the mansion.
So that's what we said, we're going to do it. So the next year, we gathered 6 friends. I mean, it was the 2 of us and 4 theater friends, basically, put together that little song list and did some gigs. And
Did
it
we
just,
did 12 performances
Yeah.
that first year, I think?
one of which was the one where they say, sing for an hour.
God, that's putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
Especially the part where you said they said, just talk about yourselves. Like, that's not as easy to do.
Yeah, right. Oh, I could talk on for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So 13 years running, and it's gone from 6 the first year
Yeah.
to how many?
24 singers now.
24 singers.
Yeah.
And spread out in, 6 different groups, right?
Well, they're
Or
not
do you
actually
kind of
a
mix and match.
They're mix and match.
Okay.
It's not necessarily, you're not singing with the same people every time. It's who's available.
Yeah,
And,
okay.
and sort of whose turn is it? You know, I try to keep it equitable so everybody's earning similar amounts of money. You know, the people who are free during the weekday daytimes probably have a tendency to sing together more often because not everybody in the group has that kind of availability.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully you get to do every sort of permutation of those 24 singers during the 5 or 6 weeks the season runs.
Yeah. Do you all rehearse as a group of 24 so everybody gets the same
We do,
experience with everybody else?
Yeah, we try. I mean, not everybody can be at every rehearsal, but we have 5 rehearsals prior to our season, and we have a music director, Dan Shaw, who works with us very well, trying to work on our musicality first, and then just getting through that canon of songs.
Sure.
And if we
it's
have new
such a
ones,
lot. It's a lot to
so
remember.
many of our singers have returned, so that's good. They're at a better place. But the poor people that come in new, and we had 6 new ones this year. We had a book of 50 songs and say, well, okay, you have 5 weeks to learn this.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, everybody gets a free pass. We always say if you're at a gig and you feel like you just can't do justice to the song, everybody gets one time to say, please skip this.
Yeah.
But then some of our some of our performances we turn into what we call, they're almost like rehearsal performances because nobody's really paying attention. Maybe you're singing on a street corner and nobody's around. So we'll come to a song that we know has kind of been problematic, and we're like, let's just give it a shot.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening anyway. Let's see what happens.
Right. And sometimes it surprise yourself, though.
Yeah.
You get a free pass unless you're standing in the children's area in the mall.
Oh.
And they say, we want Rudolph.
Okay. You
That's
better know
true.
Rudolph.
And when the bass, when the alto knows that the bass really is struggling with that song, it says, we got to do it.
Yeah.
And now I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Just do the
Wow.
melody. Just do the melody.
You know, the arrangement of Rudolph that always comes to my head, and I don't know if any of you would be familiar with this, but back in the 80s, I think it was, there was a claymation Christmas special with the California Raisins
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
doing Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Yeah.
Reindeer.
A la Motown.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's like
exactly,
Motown,
yeah.
right? Right.
That's the one that always comes to my
Yeah.
head.
So then that would not be a good sing-along one.
No, it wouldn't.
It would scare them kids.
Yeah. How often does it happen, though, where you're doing your singing and nobody's paying attention? Because you're not just standing there in jeans and T-shirts. You're not dressed like the other people around you. You are in full costume for these performances, right? So what made you decide to go the costume route with this?
Yeah, well, that's up to you, I think.
Well,
okay.
the costume really does make it sort of stand out a little bit and make it look a little different. A lot of people, I love, Mike always tells this story about, I think it was in a mall where you were singing and the person came up and they're looking around and you're like, can we help you? I'm looking for the CD player playing the music that you're lip syncing to.
Yeah.
It really does, and it's especially sometimes at the mall. We always think, the high school kids are just going to be making fun of us, but all of a sudden
That's
they'll
what
be
they
like,
do. Doesn't matter what
I
you're
know.
doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I sing that in choir. Can I come up and sing with you? It really.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They really, again, the power of music.
Yeah.
And I think the costumes just, kick it up a level.
Yeah, I think that the costumes definitely do, and Lori insists on the Victorian stuff, and it's really good stuff.
Yeah.
We have a couple costume people that have really worked hard on making it. It's not just a quick, little costume that you can buy at Party City kind of caroler costume. It's pretty nice and warm for when we're outside and things like that. So it does kick it up a notch.
Yeah.
But I think there's always somebody paying attention. Like you said, there might be somebody in the background, or even just the people who hired us, expect us to do that. So it's somebody's going to be paying attention, and you never know if you're going to influence somebody to do something. Maybe down the road they'll say, "Oh, I want to sing like that," or however. You just don't know.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of those stories that you may never hear, but somebody hearing or seeing something somewhere inspires them to do something they wouldn't have tried before or anything.
Well, we also feel like celebrities sometimes because people want to take pictures.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that, I always say have the kids come right in front. I don't care what we're singing, just stand in front, take pictures.
Sure.
And then we sing on Chapel Street in New Haven, which is kind of a unique area because there's a lot of culture there, different people from all over the world that have no idea what this is, but are very curious about it.
Yeah.
So it's really neat to see that expression too. It's not just us jaded Americans. It's that caroling people or whatever. So
now, is there some specific reason that you chose Victorian era costumes for this? Because the only the image that comes to my head is like Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol kind of thing.
Exactly.
I think that's. I don't want to speak for everyone on the planet, but I mean, when I think of Christmas caroling, that's sort of the image I get, and maybe just because I've seen that so many times. But was that kind of the inspiration that you had for it? Or was it something else that keyed it in for you?
I think partly because that was the style that the group Mike had sung with in Delaware used, so we just sort of carried that over. And it is really common. I mean, there are Victorian and contemporary caroling groups all over the country, so I follow everybody's Facebook page just to see what they're doing. And everybody, even I'm always amazed to see it'll be like Colorado, and they're in the heavy Victorian outfits, and I'm like, all right, I'm outside in 32-degree weather. They're probably outside in the 70s or 80s.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Now that's commitment.
Yeah. Well,
many of the caroling groups look just like that with the Victorian costumes.
Oh, sure. The long coats, hats. And,
the women with the big dresses and shawls and the bonnets and things, and looking like you're trying to stay warm.
Yeah.
And when you're in California or wherever, it's a little more difficult to do that, I'm sure. But they're kind of branching out and doing more contemporary things where they're just in sweaters and
ugly sweaters,
ugly Christmas sweaters. Yeah.
So there's a little branch out so that you don't have to be, cooped up in all that.
Yeah.
There's also some other groups that do more really ritzy party where they're in tuxedos and ball gown kind of things. It's not it's not the Victorian look, but it's a whole different thing. So
actually, one of my favorite groups has a specific quartet that's called the Victor Victorians, where they're in drag. The guys are dressed as the men, and the men are dressed as the women.
Take a little bit of inspiration from the musical there.
Right.
Oh, that's great. How many performances during a season will your group generally do? It's a million and a half?
It feels like a million, yes.
This year, right now, we're at 65, which ties a record from 2 years ago, I believe. And I got 3 pending, and I'm like, come on, I just want to roll over and be able to say we broke the record this year. So we'll see. But about 65 performances. We're in Massachusetts a couple of times. We're in New York once, but mostly throughout Connecticut.
Yeah. Now, what is your season run? Is it from around Thanksgiving time through New Year's, or is it
from when people want to hear Christmas music
well,
until they're done hearing Christmas music?
That would be Halloween. Right?
Well, some places I see Christmas decorations up at the end of September.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's you're pushing it.
Well, they've been pushing it further earlier. I mean,
it gets earlier. Yeah.
It's
going to be Labor Day eventually.
Yeah. What we thought was it was going to be Thanksgiving weekend on.
Yeah.
Because we have a concert after our 5 rehearsals here at the church. We actually have a concert on that Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend, just kind of get back to the church and be able to sing with 24 voices for one last time.
Yeah.
For everybody. And that was usually where we would have there are a few dates around there. But now it's, I think, 2 weekends before we've started.
Really?
Yeah.
People have been hiring us, and we would have had the weekend before that. But that gig didn't go this year.
Yeah.
But we've been like the first weekend of November.
Yeah.
So
You know, surprisingly, we do nothing after Christmas, pretty much.
Oh, really?
Well,
Yeah.
one time we had a party, I think it got snowed out.
It got snowed out,
So
yeah.
they rescheduled it for maybe the first or second weekend of January. People are so over the Christmas music by then. They were just flying.
Well,
they
it's starting in
didn't-
October.
Yeah. And to be honest, we were kind of like, yeah, whatever. I think I forgot my hat because I
Yeah.
was just out of the routine of, all right, these are
was
the things
also-
I must take with me. And
it was also, there was a blizzard coming, and we knew, I mean, they predicted a blizzard, and we were in Simsbury, and we had to come all the way back down to Guilford, which was normally a little over an hour.
Yeah.
But it took us about 4 to 6 to get
Oh,
home, so
boy.
it was not a good night. I
Yeah.
think they were the same way. They were like, just get the Christmas party over with and go home.
Just turn the speed up on everything. And
Right,
just do like a
right.
Chipmunks concert.
Right.
Wow, that's great that you've got so many different concerts to be able to do during that season. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And with such a big group, it's probably good. So everybody gets
yeah.
3, 4,
Yeah.
or something like that to do.
I don't know how many gigs did you get?
I've got
Probably.
10,
Yeah,
11.
everybody probably does about 8 to 10,
Oh, wow.
12.
I think I have 10 this year, 10
Yeah.
or 11, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you would think, oh, over 4 or 5 weeks, but it's not. When
Yeah.
you're standing outside for 4 hours in the cold, it can be a
Yeah,
little bit,
yeah, yeah.
Can be a little rough.
So where can people get information about the Connecticut Yuletide Carolers?
Best thing to do is to hit our website, which is www.ctyuletide.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. Just search for Connecticut Yuletide Carolers.
Okay. And they can contact you through their website or
Through the website.
schedule and hire you guys that way
Yep,
too?
yep. You can
Okay.
always give me a call at 203-673-9485.
Okay.
We also have a CD available.
Yeah, I have it in my hand. I'm going
Yeah.
to put some of this music on the
More info on the
on the show.
website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to get to some rapid fire questions
Oh,
with
no.
you all.
Uh-oh. Brace
So
yourselves.
put your thinking caps on. There are no wrong answers, but if you get them wrong, I'll let you know. Your favorite Christmas movie?
Holiday Inn.
Oh, that's a new one, isn't it?
No, it's a very old
Okay.
one. 1940s, black
Okay.
and white. Bing Crosby and Fred Astaire.
Oh, yes. All right.
It's the movie that White Christmas actually was premiered in. Not the
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
White Christmas, but Holiday Inn, which was about 10 years before that.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
I have to go more contemporary right now with Elf.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
I mean, because she took mine. It would be Holiday Inn.
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good
All
one.
right. Which version?
Oh, as early as
Oh,
possible.
okay.
Not the Muppet one?
All right.
No, not the Muppet one.
That's probably the one in my house that
Yeah.
that probably gets played the most. All right. Let's see. Any of you have any interesting Christmas family traditions?
Traditions.
I could take the next half hour.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Pick one.
Because growing up, there was an order to everything we did, from
Oh, yeah?
putting up the tree on the 23rd,
Okay.
to decorating it between services on the 24th, to when gifts were open, to when we had breakfast, to my grandparents
Itineraries
showing
are
up.
kind of a
We
thing
would-
with you.
We'd be halfway through opening our Christmas gifts, and my grandparents would show up with a trunk full.
Oh,
And
wow.
we'd just start all
Wow.
over again.
Oh, man.
Actually, I guess it started with Christmas. My mother is really into recycling greeting cards. So, I would send it to her one year, then she writes a new note and sends it back to me one year. We have a Christmas card that I think is going on maybe 20 years. We've had to
Wow.
add paper, traced an outline of the card and added another piece of paper to it. And it's sort of extended to other holidays now, but
Wow. Oh, that's
started
cool.
with Christmas.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, ours would be going to my maternal grandmother's house, my mom's mom. That would always be the stop after all the Christmas stuff, because it was a big Italian family. And we'd have lots of food, and everybody would come and eat and eat.
Yeah.
We'd see the rest of the family after that, but that was always that right after Christmas.
I
the
have
opening.
heard rumors of those big Italian Christmas meals.
That's right. Yeah,
I
well, they
get
could
hungry
go on for
thinking
12
about it,
days,
yeah.
really.
Which actually is going to my next question. The best Christmas meal you have ever had?
Ooh, best Christmas meal.
Yes.
No, we used to have lamb with mint jelly
Yeah.
every year, and I never told my grandmother this, and now she's passed on, so she'll never know. I couldn't stand the lamb with the mint on it.
You just ate it to be nice,
I
right?
just ate it, yeah.
Yeah, actually, growing up, my mother had like a standard menu every Christmas. You know, it was the candied yams. I think the thing that I liked the least, it was always the orange Jell-O mold with the shaved carrots and mandarin oranges in it. So 70s.
Oh, yeah. I've had a few of those. Gross. Anyone have a good Christmas meal?
We always have lasagna, which is what we're having.
Yeah.
Well, Mike's Nonna, his grandmother, made Christmas cookies to die for.
Yeah.
And even though I have the recipes, I swear she either left an ingredient out or one of the recipes, it has an ingredient, and I think the measurement is 1 glass of white wine. So everybody was panicked. Where are Nana's wine glasses? We have no idea how much wine that is. Not that there can be too much wine.
Kent, do you have anything?
My mother makes this bread. It's called a stollen. It's a braided bread with the fruit, the dice.
It's got almond paste or something in the middle of it? Or?
Yeah, and then she makes this white icing that just drizzles over the top of it.
No, was that a recipe that she came up with, or was it stolen?
Ba-dum-bum.
I've never heard of that before. That sounds really good.
It is good, though. I've had those.
Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Christmas music at all, but do you have any of you have a favorite Christmas song?
Ooh.
Too many to choose from? 49 of them
Mine
going
is
through your
What
head?
Child Is This? Greensleeves. That's always
Okay.
been my favorite. I don't know why. It just always is.
To rest on Mary's lap is sleeping, whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch.
It's hard to pick.
Yeah.
Different ones for different reasons, yeah.
Sure. Anything?
I
Like, if you have
just-
to sing one song, what's it going to be?
And I guess for me in the whole Christmas thing, I don't know, it's my favorite, but the memories that go with it is just Silent Night
Uh-huh.
when, the whole church is dark. And
Yeah.
you start passing the light one candle at a time.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just by 4 verses, then the whole room is just lit up.
Right.
I have a similar memory of that song.
Yeah.
For a similar reason, yeah. The candles just passing the flame to your neighbor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's neat. Okay. Is there a place that you think everyone should visit during the holiday season that is kind of maybe a hidden gem in Connecticut? Like maybe it's a place with lights or something like that comes around during the holiday season that you think other people should check out?
Anything? I like the Meriden lights.
Hubbard Park?
Hubbard Park lights.
Yeah.
They're all white. They used to have a Barney, but I think he's gone now. We haven't gone there this year. But it's just beautiful to see everything in white, and it's all the animals and a big giant globe, and you just drive through, and it's really nice to see.
I drive by it every morning.
Yeah, with the stars and the
yeah.
trees
Oh,
there.
yeah,
Yeah. That's really neat. It's
Yeah.
neat.
Anyone else?
Yeah, we started a family tradition years ago when the kids were really small. We would, the Sunday before Christmas Eve, we would just get in the car and drive through neighborhoods.
Uh-huh.
And we'd go a different direction every year and just spend an hour and a half driving through neighborhoods to see what was being put up.
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
would be different every year. It wasn't
Right.
a place, but it was an experience
Sure.
that we created.
Yeah, we kind of do that with our kids.
Yeah.
Every once in a while too. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to do a little bit of a shameless plug.
Podcasts are for nothing if not for
Oh,
shameless.
good. All right, then I'm not feeling too bad about this.
your shameless plug?
I'm a marketing manager at Goodspeed Musicals, and we are in
Okay.
the second year of presenting a new musical called a Connecticut Christmas Carol,
Yeah.
which has updated the ghosts to be familiar historical figures from Connecticut, and that's running until December 30th. So
Nice.
I'd love to see people come out and see that.
Goodspeed is some quality stuff. I love going down
definitely.
there. My wife and I went to see Cyrano.
Yes.
God, that was amazing.
Yep.
My daughter saw Oliver.
Yes.
She
Yep.
was her first real professional
Yeah.
production show. She was blown away. Still singing the songs over and over and over and
Over and over and over.
Right.
All right, so the last thing I like to do with everybody before we finish up is get a recommendation for something that you think maybe other people haven't heard of or had a chance to try that you have experienced recently. Recent is up to interpretation. That you think maybe they should try. It could be a restaurant that you ate at recently, some music you heard, a movie you saw, anything that comes to mind. Take your time. I can edit.
Does it have to be local?
No, not at all.
Lori and I last year decided we just wanted to get away, and after the caroling was all over, and for some reason it popped up on Facebook. This place called the Christmas Farm Inn in New Hampshire. I can't remember the town. What's
Oh, I don't remember the
North
town.
Conway or up in that area?
Yeah.
It's up there.
I've heard of that. I think we almost went there ourselves.
It's a
once.
gorgeous place, and it's up on a mountain, and it has all these different cabins, and we got to stay in not the actual house, but like the wing. And it snowed 11 inches that night, and to them it's like, whatever, here's the shovel, go dig out your car. But it was just beautiful. It's a nice place to be,
Yeah.
and it was just a nice area. It's right near Mount Washington, so that
Okay.
we kind of had a little retreat about what went well with the group and what didn't, but we were able to just enjoy the ambiance of there.
Yeah.
And down the street was this place where you can go on a sleigh ride with a horse. Unfortunately, because of the 11 inches of snow that night, they weren't going to do that to the poor horses.
Nestlebrook?
Nestlebrook, so we'll have to
Farm.
go back and try that
Okay.
now. So I would
right.
recommend that.
Nice.
Yeah, beautiful place. I'm glad I thought of something.
I recently discovered Worcester Street in New Haven.
Pizza. No?
Yeah, you can do pizza, but there's Tre Scalini, there's Consiglio's. What's the
Cannolis.
actually cannolis at? What's the name of the
I don't know what that one's called. What's the one that's right there? That's the cannoli and the
Libby's?
Libby's.
Libby's?
Libby's.
Okay.
And I discovered Libby's because a couple of years ago we had a caroling gig down on Worcester Street
Okay.
for
Yeah.
2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I was caroling with a group, and Mike and Lori showed up just to it was a new gig that year.
Yeah.
And so Mike and Lori showed up just to see how it was going. And on our break in the middle, treated us all to cannolis at Libby's.
It was all really just a big excuse to get cannolis.
That's exactly what it was for us.
If you want to confess, go ahead.
Why do you need an excuse?
Very true. Very true.
You know, what employer takes you out for cannolis in the middle of working, you know?
That's
So,
a good point.
Yeah. That's because it was
Very
cold.
nice.
And
All
they're,
right.
and they're good cannolis.
yes.
One more.
All right.
I'm not letting you off the hook
Okay.
without a recommendation.
I guess it's going to be another show recommendation.
Okay.
If you haven't seen a show called Come From Away on Broadway or out on tour, go see it.
I am so looking forward to that at the
Are you
Bushnell.
seeing it?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it coming to the Bush?
Yeah, it's part of the season.
It is. It's based on some events that happened right after 9/11 in a town called Gander in Newfoundland, Canada. And because there's this huge airport there, all these airplanes got diverted there when they closed down the airspace, and they like tripled the population of the town in a matter of hours.
Yeah, it went from a few hundred to several thousand.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And, the way that these people just sort of open their homes and open their hearts to these travelers, and the way the musical is done, there's no intermission, it's nonstop 90 minutes, but it is a roller coaster ride of emotion, and you just walk out of there feeling so good about
Yeah.
the
Humanity,
world.
right?
Humanity,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
The music's phenomenal too.
It is,
Really,
it
it's
is.
very Celtic Irish
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of music
Yeah.
from that area, basically. But
Those are good recommendations. It took you a while to get there, but those are good. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for sitting down and talking with me. This has been fun.
Thank you.
How
Thank
are
you
you
very
all
much.
feeling right now?
yeah, I feel good.
Yeah?
It's not so bad.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, there you go. I'm not even close to what you could call a religious person, but I do love me some Christmas music, after Thanksgiving at least. And I'm always brought back to some of my fondest childhood memories of music, hot chocolate, piles of gifts under the tree. But I also am aware that not everyone has the same experience of holidays growing up or now. And I hope that if you experience any holiday blues, that you will reach out to someone you can trust for help. If you really need to talk to someone, call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. It's 800-273-8255. And if that's too many numbers to remember, you can just dial 211 and choose option 1 from any phone. Please don't go it alone. I hope you all really, truly have a wonderful holiday season and a sparkling new year. 2019 can only get better, right? If you'd like to share your New Year's resolutions with me, send them to tabletostage@gmail.com. And I'll tell you what, if I get a few good ones, maybe I'll even share mine, and we can help keep each other on track to meet our goals for 2019. That is it for now, but here's one more from the Connecticut Yuletide Carolers. Until next year, keep creating.
Now we go, Christmas bells are ringing, caroling, caroling through the snow. Christmas bells are ringing, joyous voices sweet and clear, sing the sad of heart to cheer. Ding dong, Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, caroling through the town, Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, caroling up and down, Christmas bells are ringing. Mark ye well the song we sing, gladsome tidings now we bring. Ding dong, Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, caroling near and far, Christmas bells are ringing. Following, following yonder star, Christmas bells are ringing. Sing we all this happy morn, lo, the King of Heaven is born. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, Christmas bells are ringing.